we are faced with one of our greatest enemies in life: fear and anxiety. So, how can we cope with these emotions? How can we break their power over us? Today, we will seek an answer that comes from ancient times. A philosophy that, despite being born thousands of years ago, continues to guide us in dealing with the chaos and uncertainty of our modern world. The name of this philosophy is Stoicism. Stoicism originated in the 3rd century BC in ancient Greece, developed in the Roman Empire, and has reached us to this day as an art of living. Under the guidance of great thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca, this philosophy teaches us that the secret to happiness and peace lies in focusing on what we can control rather than what is beyond our control. Throughout this video, we will explore how Stoic philosophy can transform fear and anxiety. We will start with a real-life story. Then, we will delve into the fundamental principles of Stoicism and how these principles can be applied in the modern world. Finally, we will share practical steps on how you can integrate this wisdom into your life. This is not just a philosophical discussion. This is a journey that can change your life. Are you ready? Then let's begin. We are in one of the most tumultuous periods of the Roman Empire. The year is Anno Domini 170. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius was not only a leader, but also a philosopher. However, his reign was far from peaceful governance. In a world filled with wars, plague outbreaks, and betrayals, the first thing Marcus Aurelius faced every morning when he woke up was fear. Imagine being in his position. As an emperor, not only your life, but also the fate of millions depended on your decisions. Your borders are surrounded by enemies, and inside, there are betraying friends and constantly shifting political balances. Under such immense pressure, it is inevitable for fear and anxiety to take over your mind, isn't it? But Marcus was different. His mind managed to remain calm even in the midst of this chaos. So how did he do it? This is where Stoic philosophy comes into play. Marcus Aurelius performed a ritual every morning. He wrote in his journal. These writings later transformed into his work, known as Meditations. In these journals, he constantly reminded himself, let go of what you cannot control. Focus only on what you can control. Let's give an example. Marcus would confront the reality that his armies could lose a battle. But this thought did not paralyze him. Because he knew that he could not control the outcome of the battle, only the virtue he would show during the battle. This understanding gave him the power to transcend fear. One day, Marcus Aurelius had camped with his army near the Danube River. As the enemy army approached, fear was growing among the soldiers. He turned to them and said, "Fear is a story about the future, but the future has not yet come. Now, this moment is in our hands. And the only thing we can do in this moment is to do our best." These words boosted the soldiers' morale and helped them focus on the battle. Marcus Aurelius' approach reflects one of the fundamental principles of Stoic philosophy, the dichotomy of control. That is, some things in our lives are within our control, some are not. Most of our fear and anxiety stem from focusing on things we cannot control. But if we turn to what we can control, our minds become free. The story of Marcus Aurelius teaches us something. Fear and anxiety are merely thoughts. The power that feeds them is the power we give to them. But a Stoic mind can reclaim this power. It can see fear not as an enemy, but as a teacher. And this is one of the greatest secrets of Stoicism. Building on the story of Marcus Aurelius, let's delve deeply into the fundamental principles of Stoic philosophy. This philosophy offers us 3 keys to understand how we can manage fear and anxiety, the dichotomy of control, the importance of virtue and living in harmony with nature, the first key is the dichotomy of control. Epictetus, one of the greatest teachers of Stoic philosophy, says, "Some things are within our control, and some things are not." This simple yet profound understanding is the cornerstone of Stoicism. We categorize events in our lives into two categories: things we can control and things we cannot control. For example, the weather. Will it rain? Will it snow? We cannot control that, but we can choose to carry an umbrella in the rain or to enjoy walking in the rain. This is something within our control. Fear and anxiety often grow when we focus on things we cannot control. However, when we direct our minds to what we can control, the impact of these feelings diminishes. Let's consider a metaphor. Life is a vast ocean. In this ocean, waves are constantly in motion, sometimes calm, sometimes stormy. You cannot control the waves, but as a captain, you can control how you steer your ship. A Stoic captain does not rage at the waves. Instead, they learn how to use the wind and currents. This is precisely the dichotomy of control. Managing your own ship, not the ocean. The second key is the importance of virtue. According to Stoics, true happiness and inner peace are only possible by living a virtuous life. So, what is virtue? Epictetus explains it as, virtue is to think rightly, speak rightly, and act rightly. In other words, values like honesty, courage, justice, and self-discipline are central to a Stoic's life. Fear and anxiety are often related to our reactions to events outside ourselves. But virtue acts like a compass that shapes these reactions. For example, imagine you are going for a job interview. Anxiety arises from the question, what if I fail? But a Stoic responds to this question by saying, I will do my best. Success or failure is not within my control. But being honest, prepared, and courageous is within my control. This is where the power of virtue comes into play. The third key is living in harmony with nature. According to Stoics, the universe has an order, and we are part of that order. The challenges in our lives are part of nature, and instead of fighting them, we should learn to accept them. As Marcus Aurelius said, the obstacle is the way. In other words, the challenges we face are actually opportunities for our growth and development. Let's give an example. Suppose you are working on a project and encounter an unexpected problem. This issue can make you angry or anxious. But from a Stoic perspective, this problem is not an enemy but a teacher. It teaches you patience, creativity, and problem-solving skills. Accepting the problem and learning from it is part of living in harmony with nature. These three keys of Stoic philosophy, the dichotomy of control, the importance of virtue, and living in harmony with nature, serve as powerful guides for transforming fear and anxiety. These principles are not only theoretical, but also extremely practical. Let's move on to the next section to see how we can apply them in our daily lives in the modern world. In the previous section, we examined the fundamental principles of Stoic philosophy, the dichotomy of control, the importance of virtue, and living in harmony with nature. Now, let's explore how these principles can be applied in our daily lives. More deeply, we will also address some misconceptions and contradictions related to Stoicism. One of the most powerful practices of Stoicism is developing awareness. Stoics say that understanding how our minds guide us is the first step in managing fear and anxiety. Marcus Aurelius often asked himself a question in his daily writings. Does this thought help me, or does it harm me? Apply this question to your own life. For example, if you feel intense anxiety before an exam, pause and think, does this anxiety motivate me to study better, or does it paralyze me? Stoics argue that questioning our thoughts reduces their impact on us. Awareness uncovers the roots of fear and makes it manageable. Another Stoic practice, premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils, is an effective technique for managing fear and anxiety. In this practice, you visualize the worst-case scenarios you might face in the future. The goal is not to dramatize these scenarios, but to accept them. For instance, before going to a job interview, imagine the worst-case scenario. Think about not receiving a job offer. Would that be a disaster? No, perhaps another job opportunity will arise, or maybe this process will teach you to prepare better. Imagining bad things in advance helps you develop a mental immunity against them. Another important Stoic practice is developing self-discipline. Stoics argue that instead of allowing our emotions to control us, we should learn to control our emotions. For example, if you struggle to wake up early in the morning, Stoics see this as an opportunity. You can ask yourself, will I succumb to laziness today, or will I act like a Stoic and show my discipline? As Epictetus said, difficulties exist to test the strength of our souls. Self-discipline strengthens not only our daily habits, but also our ability to cope with fear and anxiety. However, Stoicism is often misunderstood. People frequently think that Stoics are emotionless and cold individuals. But this is a great misconception. Stoics do not say we should suppress our emotions. On the contrary, they suggest that we understand and manage our emotions. For example, Marcus Aurelius experienced deep sorrow after the death of his son, but he did not suppress this sorrow. Instead, he reminded himself, "My son's life was a gift from nature. Now nature has taken back what it gave." This is a natural cycle of life. This is not about suppressing emotions, but about accepting and making sense of them. In the modern world, Stoic principles are more applicable than ever. For instance, if you post something on social media and receive negative comments, this can lead to anxiety. But from a Stoic perspective, you accept that these comments are beyond your control. The only thing you can control is how you respond to these comments. A Stoic thinks, these comments do not determine my worth. My worth is measured by my virtues. Stoicism frees us from the chaos of the external world and helps us find a refuge within ourselves. It is not just a philosophy, but a way of life, awareness, self-discipline, and acceptance. These are powerful tools that Stoic philosophy offers for transforming fear and anxiety. But let's move on to the next section to learn how to use these tools, practical applications.